Up, record. So everybody that's already in here, if you haven't been on the Sunday Market Blitz before, what it is pretty much Nick and myself will run through all of our analyses for the week. So we're each going to cover about 6 pairs, give you guys what we're thinking for the week. You guys can compare it to your analysis. Are going to cover 6 pairs, only swing trading. So we're only looking at swing trading positions for this week. And if you have any questions, post in the chat during the session. And that being said, I'm going to hand it off to Nick, and he's going to get into it. Looks like your audio might be off.
Oh, my bad. There it is.
You're good.
Better. All right. I just said, thanks for the introduction, Angelo. But yeah, as he said, guys, we're going to cover some swing trading. So if you guys are ready, let's get into it, right? So what I'm going to do with every single pair here is pretty much go through my method of finding, a setup. So something where we're getting ready to execute, and it starts pretty much on the daily time frame. And I'm going to do this with every single pair. It's the same method. I'm going to scroll out to the daily, clear up the chart, assess the overall trend, right? So I just want to make myself aware of pretty much what price action has been doing over the long term, like the last few months, and see, what trend is really apparent. So I'm going to do that on the daily, then drop to the 4-hour and go over 2 different scenarios with you here on the 4-hour, both a bullish option or a bearish option, both of which are close to happening. So I'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, so we're going to start on the daily, drop to the 4-hour, and then assess what's going on for the week ahead. Okay, again, this is swing trading. I'm usually holding trades for 1 to 3 days in that range. All right, so it all starts here on DXY. Now, DXY isn't actually tradable. It's just showing us the dollar strength, right? So why do we do this? Why do we analyze the dollar? Why is this so important? It makes up for 80% of all trade. And if you guys have been following lately, whatever the dollar's been doing, it's kind of been dragging the market, right? It has a huge impact. So it makes sense to kind of make ourselves aware of what this beast is doing, right? If it's holding a bullish trend over the long run, week to week, month to month, we want to be aware of that because we can use that information on the major pairs, right? Which are heavily affected, by USD. So it's good to be aware of that. We don't look at DXY and kind of do like an exact comparison. It's really just making ourselves aware of the direction. I'm not going to drop down and be like, oh, look, this is an engulfing here on DXY. I know DXY shares an inverse correlation with AU. So now I'm going to enter on this, opposite engulfing, this bullish engulfing. It's not like that at all. It's more or less used as an indicator to better judge what the movement could be on, other tradable pairs. Okay, so let's get to it. Here on the daily, DXY, strong characteristics of a bullish trend, right? Higher highs, higher lows, and repeating. Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, and so on. And we can see that we're in the area of our prior higher low, and we haven't really broken it yet. It is, hanging a little low, but overall, it's still very much bullish. Okay, so let's go to the 4-hour now, bring our tools back on, and see what the potential is for this week. So I find that the 4-hour time frame highlights the best movement on a week-to-week basis. So what does that mean? I can look at this chart, draw my scenarios, and pretty much say that one of these scenarios is going to play out for the week ahead. And whichever one it is, doesn't really matter. I just know what I have to see. I'm making myself aware of what's possible in order to, get into a position. Obviously, this is, again, the dollar. I'm not trading this, but it's showing us what the potential is, and we want to be aware of that. And that'll probably run for, a week or so, in which case we'll reanalyze in the next week and repeat the process. So this is where we're at on DXY. It dropped a little bit here, right? We had all this consolidation. We were at the high, right at 113.5, dropped lower. We took out 112 support, continued to drop all the way down to 109.5, and then we saw a bounce from there. So it's starting to pull back. We threw a fib on it from conviction. So when the pattern broke, right, the candle that kind of set us off into this drop, that's the conviction candle, this big ass candle right here. So that's where I drew the fibs from, right? Measuring downward, looking for the next level of structure, which lines up right at 110.7. Also note our 38.2 fib levels there. This is a good confluence area. We have a lot of stacking like indicators suggesting that we could continue lower, right? So that's one scenario, is that we'll dip a little bit lower. Ideally, we want to see rejection below the level, not in the level, not above the level. You want to see rejection below it. That's the most confident setup you could really see. clearly below, respecting, and then continuing down. So that's the most likely, in my opinion, is that we'll just, trickle lower for the next week down towards 109.5. Now, if that fails to happen, we have to see if price action stays above 110.7. So we'll see it push up a little bit. If it does go bullish, pull back, look for those higher lows to confirm. And then it's safe to say, all right, DXY is probably going to be bullish for this week. We'll take that into consideration, and it'll probably rally back into 112. Okay, so that's the analysis on DXY. We're aware of what's possible. Whichever way it goes, we'll be able to identify that trend for this week. All right, so with that, we'll move over to our first tradable pair, and we're going to repeat the process. Okay, zoom out to the daily, clear up the chart. Let's bring this guy over here for a second. Let's clear this up. All right, cool. So again, all we need to do is identify the trend. This is moving downward. So what are the characteristics of a bearish trend? Lower lows and lower highs. So here's a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, and so on and so on. So we are moving down. We can see our last lower high was right here. Right? Lower low, lower high. This is the retest. Price action's at that point now. So it is technically still bearish, but this is an area of interest to us now. So we're going to get a closer look on the 4-hour. We're aware of the daily trend. Been moving down for a while. We could actually just see since April, it's just been bearish, right? All the way back here. Down, down, down. So let's go to the 4-hour now. Bring these tools back on. Try and make things even more simple. All right, so here we are. I think the best thing to do is just follow price action, and that'll give us a better idea as to where we could be going. So we broke 0.655, right? Key zone right here. Price action dropped, and then it started getting choppy. So we're ranging a bit, pretty wide range. I mean, this isn't exactly a shallow range. We're looking at 150 pips roughly. Bouncing, 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 finally broke to the downside. And then we had lower consolidation down here, right? We're stuck between these two zones. Lots of consolidation. Broke bullishly, got the higher high, got the higher low. Now we're back in this prior range area. So the way this could go, there's also a pattern here I'm going to talk about in a second, but the way this could go is we have a pretty classic break and retest, right? Of 0.64, where price action pushed above, we hit resistance, it's coming back. Now we're looking for reactions here. If price action is going to continue bullish and hold this new trend, right, where it popped above, we're looking for this to follow through. So we need some sort of higher low here, some sort of conviction, nice bullish variations we could then enter on and then target back towards, key resistance. And this is looking like it's just shy of a 4-to-1, how this is marked up, where we're looking to get 115, risking about 30. And this will slightly vary depending on where that confirmation actually comes in. But well over 2-to-1, which is my personal rule. I won't take a trade unless it's at least greater than a 2-to-1. So yeah, it's looking pretty good. Again, will vary slightly. But that's the bullish scenario. For this to be completely invalidated, we have to break back below 0.64, see some sort of lower high, and then we could look at this chart and actually say, all right, it's looking way more bearish. We broke support, confirmed as resistance. We should see this start to drop now. And then we'll reanalyze, and then just keep an eye on these support levels as we do drop. So those are the two possibilities, but there is one thing, to note here for all those pattern traders out there. This kind of looks like some sort of inverse head and shoulders. Now, I don't typically like trading patterns this big. It's just a lot of time, but I think it's important to note just for the sake of analysis. Right, so if you guys don't know the head and shoulders, this actually should take a little bit more time to form, where this would be more of a range, advance a few more times, similar to what we saw over here, and then complete the pattern by breaking the neckline, which is 0.655 resistance, right? So this is interesting. Could be a giant reversal. Once we do get, if we do get back up towards this area, we'll look for that, break above or the reversal. We'll have to see. But I thought this, was definitely worth just mentioning, right? Some sort of maybe giant inverse head and shoulders pattern down here at the low. Yeah, it could be looking like a daily inverse, but we'll see. Too early to tell. I don't really like predicting patterns or movements that far in advance, because we still have a few things that have to happen first, right? We need to push up to this level, then reanalyze, and then look for the breaker bounce from there. Okay, so we have a few more steps before we get up to that level. But yeah, this is shaping up nicely. So that's AU. Let's go over to AJ. Same thing, guys. Daily time frame. Square this up, clear the chart. And what has the overall trend been? right? So strong characteristics of a bullish trend. We're seeing higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Spent a little bit of time here, but still held. Went to a higher high. Now it came back to this support level that we were just talking about, right at 92. So still overall bullish, although we could see even from the daily time frame that we had the 4-hour time frame change trends a couple times where it was bullish here, bearish here, now back to bullish. So let's drop to the 4-hour. Overall on the daily, it is still bullish though. So we'll just say that again right before we drop down. And let's just zoom in on this. All we need is current price action. We don't necessarily need everything, right? We just need to see on what's possible for the week ahead. And this pattern right here already goes back to mid-October. So that's enough. Let's zoom in on this and see what the potential for the week is. Okay, so we have this kind of like a ascending triangle where we have key support right at 92.7 or 93.75, and then we're getting these higher highs as price actions dancing around this key level here at 94.75. So what does this mean, right? What's the potential? What do we really care about? We're looking for bounces or breaks, very simply off of our key level, right? If this is going to continue to form the pattern, price action should fall from resistance, and then we'll just look towards 93.75. Could be a nice little trade in there, probably on the 1 hour. It'll definitely be a little shorter term trade, but there could be something nice there if it does play out nicely. It's all about clear price action. So you'll have to see if we start seeing some long wicks, some rejection, it might be time to drop to the 1 hour, maybe catch a nice little bearish trend into the support level. So that's one possibility. It's just the pattern will keep forming, right? The other is that this pattern breaks and we actually see price action get above this level. So similar to this was actually nice how it had good volume, enough energy where it broke this key level, came back for the retest, but failed to follow through, right? 94.75 did not act as support here, right? So in that case, it failed to form the higher low, which is what we want to see over here. That's our, our indication that we're in a real trade is that confirmation above the key zone. You need that higher low. That's why it's so important to wait for the right, price action confirmation, which is why I'm dropping to the 1 hour, waiting for candle closure, waiting for something really clear where I can look at it and have 100% confidence, right? I'm not going to take a trade that I'm, doubting myself on. Just wouldn't make sense to me. So we need that higher low. That would be a great scenario where we target up towards 96 resistance. Okay, so pretty straightforward. Just need to see how this zone plays out, and then we'll have a better understanding where AJ is going this week. Okay, so let's move over to UJ. This one, UJ still at the bottom of the watch list, but we're gonna cover it. So same thing, same method, daily time frame. Let's clear it up. Zoom out a little bit, and then we just need to assess the trend, right? Characteristics of a bullish trend: higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, right? Really, I mean, this is overextended. Anyone who trades UJ, we know this. This has really just been shooting to the moon the last few months. Yeah, since back here in March, beginning of March, it's just been parabolic, straight to the moon. So kind of tricky to trade. When there's too much volume in the market, it makes trades kind of scarce, because if there's more volume, then there's more time to wait on the retrace. And if you're trying to trade off structure and trend trading, you're really trying to find those key spots, right? So it's going to take a lot of time if there's a lot of volume that you have to retrace on, which has kind of been the case here on UJ. It's kind of upsetting. I normally like trading UJ, but it just hasn't been that great lately, unless you're catching like this move here, and then you'd hold that for, what is this? 2 weeks. So it's a massive 2-week trade, huge amount of pips, just over 600. So yeah, the trades are pretty scarce right now, few and far between. But let's cover it. We're here on the 4 hour, still very bullish, right? Let's just follow price action. We saw that we had key resistance over here, 145, a lot of bouncing, a lot of struggle to break the zone. We did get a good sign here that we were going to push higher once we started consolidating. So look how tight this consolidation is in comparison to the prior volume, or the prior candle size. Much, much larger in the past. So volume was kind of dying down. So there's a struggle happening here. Price action is being pushed into resistance, and that gave me a pretty good idea that it was just going to break above. And it did, and it kind of ran from there up to our high, The next key zone right at 150, then rejected from there. Like one of the biggest candles we've seen in months. Honestly, this thing tanked. That's probably let's see, almost 3%. The thing tanked 3% in, on a 4-hour candle, probably in a single hour. Pretty wild, right? That's huge for a currency pair. So big reversal from 150. That's fine. It was nice to see that we did come all the way back to 145 area. We didn't quite wick that area, but there's still some hope. We could still consolidate, curve out a little bit, and then continue bullish. That's what it's looking like right now. Definite, bullish volume. Not quite convinced yet. Again, I really want to see this, like this little bar pattern that I have drawn in here play out, where we spend a little bit more time here, really gain some confidence that this will push up in a clear way. You don't want high volume price action. You want normal market movement. That's where the best trades are. This crazy volume stuff, it's, unless you're sniping it, you're leaving, there's some risk on the table there. So you gotta be careful. But I grabbed this bar pattern. This is actually a copy of this breakout here. Just expanded a little bit. So just representing, we need a little bit of consolidation. Then we want to spot a nice clear continuation to the upside. Okay, so that's what we're looking like on UJ for this week. It's at the bottom of the watch list anyway, so I didn't really have too many, hopes for this, but we have an idea on the table, so we'll see what happens. No bearish opportunity yet. If we do break 145, technically we, would be looking for lower highs below this zone, and then we could consider it bearish, but it just needs so much movement. I didn't even draw it in. Didn't even figure it was worth it. Need some time on this to see. But yeah, that's UJ. All right, let's go over to EJ. Wow, it's playing out already. Let's go to the daily first. Zoom out a little bit. All right, overall trend. What's been going on? So this is moving higher, showing us clear characteristics of a bullish trend, right? Higher highs, higher lows, higher high, which is where we're at now. So very clearly moving upwards. Let's now put the drawing tools back on, go to the 4-hour, see what's possible for this week. So last week when we were covering this, there was a bit of ranging happening. It was looking like some sort of reversal pattern up here at the high. Obviously didn't play out yet. We're still just seeing this choppiness, right? This was obviously news, right? Huge candle. Kind of disregard that. Really just see that price actions slowing down, being a bit in a range up here at the high. So, how could this play? Either we're going to continue to range, which is kind of what this blue trade scenario is suggesting, is that we'll just find support here at 146, push back up to 148, then we'll reanalyze from there. I was really hoping this was going to touch this level one more time. Still could, but I mean, obviously you could see this, bullish volume coming into the market as we speak. So I'd really like to see this hit 146.25, give us some bullish variations to enter on, and then we can just make a clean trade up to 148. And this is looking like 150, risking about 50, so 3-1. But we'll slightly vary depending on if where and if that price action comes in. Now, if we were to consider this bearish, right, we just need this consolidation to break. Price action needs to get below and then show us, strong characteristics of a bearish trend, where we want that lower low below, something like more than just one candle, right? Something clear, like a normal candle size, just a nice break below support, retest, get the lower high, and then we can that easily switch our bias and start looking for 4-hour short opportunities, like so. Right, we already have our first level marked out, looking to target 144, and then we'll reanalyze. So that's normally how I trade, zone to zone, take it week by week. Once we hit a zone, we reanalyze and see what's possible. So that's really just the process right there. But yeah, 2 good setups. I mean, we'll see how EJ plays out. If it does just rally into 148, then you'll have to reanalyze, right? We'll give you a little preview of what it could look like. Where if we hit 148, it's break or bounce. You'll redraw the fibs, include the higher high, the new higher high above the zone, look for where your potential higher lows could be, and then your next target, and then take it from there, right? And then the opposite in this scenario would be the range continues, and we see a reversal. Okay. And then this still is valid. It just price action has to get there, and then we have to wait for that break as well. So yeah, it's always just anticipating, what potentially could happen and then executing if it does. If it's a crap setup, I'm not interested in it. If it's following one of my trade setups, which is ideally what I'd like to see out of the market, then I'm going to take the trade. Okay, so it's really just waiting to see which one price action follows. Okay, that's EJ. Let's go over to gold. This is going to be my final pair before I pass it off to Angelo. And we're going to do the same thing. Zoom out a little bit. So if you guys have been following gold, you guys know this thing's been bearish since we broke 1930, I believe, back here. 1920 area, my mistake. So once we broke that, this thing's been bearish. It's been holding very steady, actually forming really nice structure, right? We got our first lower low here, followed by a little bit of consolidation, continued lower to the new lower low, came back for a lower high. Then look at the retest, right? This was support, comes back, tests its resistance. Hopefully you guys can see that on the crosshair there. Absolutely perfect. Nice lower high, continue to the lower low, lower high. Now we're at the low again, so on and so on. You guys get the picture. It's very bearish. All right, so let's throw these tools back on, get down to the 4 hour. Let's see what we got. All right, so we got two major zones, 1675, which is where we've been seeing the most resistance from recently, right? A couple touches here, quite a few. Another one right here, pretty much to the pip. And then we have all these lower lows kind of showing themselves. So this is a bearish pattern. Nothing here really says this is bullish, right? I mean, this is a nice little push to the upside, but overall, nothing in this bearish trend is broken yet. We haven't gotten above 1675. We're not seeing higher highs and higher lows. So still very much bearish. Until that happens, and we'll pretty much keep that bias. Okay, so going into this week, we could see we're kind of between two zones. What would have to happen for us to see a very clear bearish setup? Price action pushing back up, rejecting off 1660, giving us some nice conviction to enter short on. That would be very key, or very clear to us. It'd be a high probability setup. That would be perfect. We're looking to get 225, risking about 75, just shy of a 3-to-1. And this would be like a two-stage trade, right? Where you'd see that rejection off 1660, target the next significant support level, and then look to this level for reactions. If it does break that level, you have the exact same setup going into, next week, or let's say this plays out Thursday. You just have the next exact same trade, like, to follow up with, which would be perfect, right? No complaints there. I mean, this is textbook. If this is how trading was every week, we'd all be billionaires. Just entering on every clean lower high repeatedly, right? So this is perfect. If it does play out that way, we'll be ready. And roughly this is going to be the setup. So let's call it 75. 75 for 300. So just about a 4-to-1, which is pretty damn good. Not a bad trade at all. So I usually risk 2%. If I risk 2 on this, I would get 8% back, which is almost a challenge, pretty much depending on where you go. Pretty good on one trade. So not bad. Right, these two together, this is a challenge passing setup. Okay, so that's the potential for this week. Just looking overall bearish. I'll draw in the long scenario because why not? We're here just to make ourselves aware of what's possible, do a little analysis, see what's going on. All right, so this is what would have to happen for me to totally say on gold here that the 4 hour is undoubtedly bullish. We're seeing higher lows. I'm ready for entries. I'm totally confident that this is, going to continue higher. Gold's going to appreciate, right? This is what would have to happen. We got to take out 1675, where we saw our first rejection, or first set of, resistance and rejection, and then the second. And, now we've seen the pattern develop. So this is an important level. Pretty much the whole chart is staying bearish until we break 1675. Okay, so not bad, not bad. That's the last pair I'm actually going to analyze. I'll do a quick recap. I covered DXY, AU, AJ. Damn, look at that thing. UJ, EJ, and gold. All right, so these are also posted in Telegram and Discord. If you guys aren't familiar with these trading view analyses that you can post, are like active charts. So it'll be like there'll be a play button, and at any point during the week, you can click it and it'll show you how all the price action played out. And you guys could check and see how accurate these are. Usually they're pretty good. I would say 60% accurate that you'll see one of these trade scenarios on any of the pairs that I just covered play out. But yeah, so that's the analysis from me. I'll pass this off to Angelo now. All right, cool. Show us
What's up?
what's up. Oh, I could show an example of that. Hold on one second. Let me see something. Let me show you on AU. All right, cool. Here, so this is a good example. If we go to the 1 hour, so we can see this consolidation forming here, right? Where we're anticipating a higher low to kind of confirm, right at 0.64. So my thought process is, all right, we've approached this level where we're looking for reactions. I've seen, what is that? 4 candles, pretty much 16 hours at this level. So it's slowing down. It's not just, it's respecting it to some degree. So this is going to pique my interest. I'm going to now go to the 1 hour, see what kind of price action has developed, and then do the same thing, draw on these trade scenarios, and see what the potential is, in the sense that I want clear price action. So I'm going to draw on what I would ideally need to see. That was not the right numbers. What I would need to see to get into a trade. And that would be a break, pretty much conviction through this random line would be enough for me to enter on. Okay, so a nice engulfing, bullish variation, morning star, or even, a quick retest of that zone. And what this does is once we break this random line, something magical happens out on the 4 hour time frame. That variation or that break of that random line confirms the higher low here on the 4 hour, right at 0.64. And that is enough for me to take a trade, right? And that's a little like touch on time frame correlation. But I mean, that's the process I use. So this would be the trade. Let's say we did enter right here. I would find the lowest we were in just below the zone, put my stop loss just outside of that. Let's call it 40. Nice round number, make it safe. And we're looking to get roughly, what could we do? We could do this target 0%. You could target where we were up here right at 0.655. In this area is really, it's going to vary slightly, but the main point is even at 0%, we're over 2-1, which is good enough. So this is a good trade. It checks all my boxes. And if we do see this push up, I'll be taking it. Okay, hopefully that answer your question, Deshaun. But yeah, off to Angelo. Here we go.
Yep. So I'm gonna get started in a minute here. We are gonna do a giveaway on the session. All you gotta do, post on your story that you're on the Sunday Market Blitz, tag the Funded Trader, tag Forex League. If you guys were just on the Funded Trader webinar and you didn't win the giveaway, good chance to win now. So put us on your story, tag us, and we'll get you guys, we'll pick a winner at the end. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you can see it.
Good to go.
Let's see. All right, so we're going to start off on Forex Factory. We're going to take a look at the news events that are coming up for the week. Just going to take a look at the red folders. So obviously new month this week, so it's going to be NFP, non-farm payroll, is going to come out on Friday. We've got a lot of news this week to look out for. Starting off on Monday, AUD. We've got these 2 rate decisions, a USD. We've got some manufacturing PMI, job openings. So big week for jobs with non-farm and all these. More news on Wednesday for USD. FOMC press conference. Apparently the rates are going to be hiked again. So definitely want to look out for that coming on Wednesday. And then Thursday, a bunch of news GBP related. 1 CHF folder, 1 USD folder, so CPI for CHF, and then we've got a PMI for USD, and then again Friday is going to be pretty crazy with the non-farm payroll coming out. I know the US reported a growth in GDP over the last quarter, I think, which is the first growth in 2 quarters, something like that. So it's pretty nuts. So I guess they're getting everything in order with the midterm elections coming up. They're starting to pump the markets and stuff like that. So something to just be aware about. So getting into the charts, again, this Forex Factor, if you guys haven't looked at this yet this week, definitely come on here. You can go ahead, expand, look at some more details, start to study what these actually are. And yeah, so let's actually get into the charts. We're going to take a look at DXY, dollar index. So pretty much I've had this resistance area marked on here for quite some time. If we just zoom out, I have this area marked. This is all just TA when we come onto the chart. So I have this area just marked based on support, based on resistance right here. This is definitely a significant area. As you can see previously, we rejected this, found it as support. So this price range, zooming in a bit more at about 112 area, has definitely been an area that price has moved off of with a lot of volatility. And you can see we already rejected. So we already rejected this area on the weekly time frame. Zooming in a little bit more. Boom, right here, we can see we had this engulfing candle. We broke structure right here, broke support, and then we pushed down back into our previous support level, wicked it, and now we're just chilling up here. So coming down to the 4-hour time frame, DXY is clearly, it's just in a downtrend. Broke support right there. Again, we did hit our major support level, so we'll see where this ends up going up to, but good rule of thumb is just retest previous support level right there. So DXY is bearish. We're looking for it to continue to push to the downside based on market structure on the 4-hour time frame and the weekly right there. We're not going to assume that it's hitting the weekly support unless it starts to do something like this, where it forms this like descending triangle, and then maybe we have a breakout of it to the upside. So these are really the two scenarios right now when it comes to the dollar, is that we're either going to push up into this area, find resistance, move to the downside, or it's going to consolidate, fail to break support, and then it's going to actually push. For anyone that doesn't know, why I'm using this level, this is a key level right here. This one right here. This was the previous resistance on the weekly time frame. And as you can see, we already wicked it pretty hard. So that's what's telling me that price will most likely just push up into the previous resistance right there. So let's keep in mind, if DXY is going to push up 1%, let's think about how this relates when it comes to all these other pairs. So coming to NZD USD and looking at the weekly time frame, we can very clearly see that on the weekly, we were just in a crazy downtrend. We did find support at the bottom of this downtrend right here. So price came down to about the 0.56 area, and then we hit support. We formed a bullish engulfing. And now, this candle is obviously like a reversal type candle, not a bullish conviction candle right here. But looking at the next level, which we could possibly come back into, it's at about this 0.6 area right there. So coming down to the 4-hour, this thing is just at the moment is in an uptrend. It's just forming these higher lows, these higher highs, and higher low points. So it just formed a new higher high. So now we're going to look to take our next position in this area, which is the previous resistance level, previous support level. And the trade's going to look something like this. Stops will be in this area. And if we were to bring on our fibs, we could see that this is right in this 38.2 zone right there. So this is going to be where we're looking for entries, right in this zone. And we're just going to delete all this just to clear this up. We're going to take this off. So this is where we're looking for price to come into, right in this zone. Once we see some sort of reversal, which we could argue already happened, right? These wicks right here, and then this morning star kind of candle right there. So we could argue that we should already enter. But if we want to wait, we just wait until price comes back into the zone again, look for some sort of conviction, and then take buys. So NZD is looking for buys now. DXY, like we said, looks like it might continue to push up, which means NZD will actually push down. And if NZD correlates that closely with the dollar, which doesn't always correlate 1-to-1, but you say it does, and it comes down 1%, that means it'd be coming near our stop loss. 1% would be like 50% to our stop loss. But at that point, we are looking for reversal. So I do think that NZD USD is a good buy right now. Considering the dollar, we are looking for it just to be bearish and make a move back into 109. So look out for NZD USD this week, guys. Take buys on that. Coming over to UCAD, let's move up to the weekly. So weekly time frame, let's not overcomplicate it. We've got this big resistance level, right? Based on resistance, we have support back there. We could go even further back. But main resistance level at 138. Right here, we have a bearish engulfing. So lower time frame has broken structure. And we are very far away from the previous support. So going down to the 4-hour, obviously 4-hour trend went from being bullish to bearish. So all we're trying to do right now is find the next lower high point that this pair is trying to make. Once it does find that next lower high point, that's when we're trying to sell. So coming into this, if we were to fib this, where would be the areas that we'd be trying to sell at? This 38.2 area, this 61.8 area. And as you can see, those line up pretty well with the previous support levels. That's why using the fibs is good when you're in a trending market. It's going to line up most likely with these support levels. So if price, we could basically start to we could take sells right now if we really want to. Ideally, we put stops above the previous support or previous resistance. Obviously, we're probably not going to do that. But say we took a sell now, we put it above the resistance right there. Obviously, we're targeting this support level first. But this has a lot of room to fall. Going back to looking left, this would be target 2, this would be target 3, target 4, so on and so on. Obviously, there's a ton of news coming out this week. We just zoom in a little bit more, right? We have all this news coming out. So that's going to obviously affect things. So keep that in mind. But this would be entry 1, just because we already have that conviction right there, that bearish engulfing. Entry 2 would be if price moves up into this area, we'd have our stops a little bit wider. Remember, this is a swing trade. And then we'd be looking to target again, all the way down there. So the risk reward would still be pretty good. So this is trade number 1. This is trade number 2. We're trying to short UCAD. So that would mean that the dollar continues to push to the downside, remember. So pretty much if the dollar goes up, then UCAD is going to go up most likely and then come into this area. And we'll probably have to end up entering there. So look out for that. I'm going to put this trade on if you guys are interested. True trade ideas on UCAD. GU. Let's go up to the weekly. So GU has made its hike to the upside. It has broken resistance, so it's very strong right now. GU is very, very bullish at the moment. We obviously hit a very low point here, 1.03. Crazy low point right there. So might have been a good idea to exchange dollars for British pounds and hit this price. Now it is up 11% from that price, which is nuts. So 12% up from the bottom, really nuts. So what are we looking at next? Personally, I would just be focusing on buys until price comes back into one of our resistance areas. We have this area, we have this area. Currently, it's above that area. Looking at the 4-hour, it's clearly bullish. I would not take a buy unless it hit my support level, which then would be pretty tough because that means we break support and kind of break structure. So I'd have to wait for something like this to actually take advantage of this move. So GU not as close as the other pairs. I'm not even gonna map it out, looking for buys though on GU. We'll see what price action starts to do. If it does push up, then we're just looking for the next higher low. And that's when we're gonna get in on this. So that's GU. GJ is already flying. So GJ is already off. We kind of talked about this, like once price established support here, established the trend, we were just looking for buys after that. As you can see here, we were just looking for it to push up. Then we had the retest of support, then it pushed up, then it retested support. So last week or 2 weeks ago, we had mapped out some flag pattern right here. And then it pushed up, came down. So there's nothing to do on this until it hits the next resistance area. So just look for GJ to continue to fly to the upside. There's nothing stopping GJ. If anything, if it does come down, it'll hit support and then it will fly up into this area. So as you can see, when it comes to GJ, there's not much news coming out this week. We've got this one, consumer confidence. We've got Bank of England interest rate decision, which obviously could be interesting come Thursday. So look out for that. And looking at the interest rate and how that affects how they're going to be doing their monetary policy in England. So look out for that, guys, on Thursday if you are trading GJ. NAS 100, this thing's a bit on the comeback. So the last we spoke on NAS 100, thing was dipping to the downside. It was obviously at a low point. We were just waiting to see, is price going to reverse here, right? There was not much for us to do all the way at the bottom besides continue to try to take sells on this. And now it has flipped to the upside. So we were clearly in a downtrend, made this new low, and then all of a sudden price has flipped upside down. And we have gone from this downtrend to an uptrend. So price was going to the downside. Now we've flipped. We're in a more buyer's market. So we're looking to get in on buys on this one until price comes up to 118 or 11,800 level. So be careful when to buy. Obviously, you want to buy at support. Like buying down here would have been ideal because you have the weekly support, you have the trend line. This is a higher low. So yeah, just be careful on NAS. Definitely not the time to be buying now for a swing trade. So be patient on this one. But just know that this thing is definitely in a more buyer's market at the moment. So coming over to BTC, this will be with the last pair that I run through. So we've been covering this, the entire time. This is the BTC strategy. We're gonna rename this the comeback strategy because BTC certainly took in a beating, like came down as everyone knows, and it's getting a little bit of life right now. We're getting some bit of movement on it. It's up to about 10%, 8%. Still obviously got a long ways to go on this one, but currently just dollar cost averaging with BTC. So if you guys are interested in getting into BTC, I would just say get in at these levels at 19,800, 12,400, 3,200, right? Get in at these areas. And just dollar cost average. And what my plan is, dollar cost average this amount. Targets are all the way up here at 100. This would be 1.2 mil. So we'll see what happens with BTC. This is the one that I'm personally in. I do have some Ethereum as well. So coming over to Ethereum, definitely had a strong comeback. We had our support level down at 1100, 1170. Didn't exactly wick that area, but we did have a strong comeback off of that area, which is a good sign. If we're going to be forming a higher low here, definitely be a very bullish sign right there. So look out on Ethereum. We'll have to just keep waiting and watching this. XRP obviously had that big boost, but I do think it's going to come down now that it got settled in. I think it's going to settle down at around 20 cents. And that's when we're going to try to buy in on XRP. Don't know off the top of my head what exchanges, if you're in the US, you can buy XRP. But yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that. But yeah, so very interesting time with crypto because we are at the bottom. For people that are interested in ways to get into crypto, ways to leverage crypto, there are a lot of different ways out there to get involved. Liquidity pools, obviously just buying it. There's this one fund that I'm in that actually has no limit to depositing, and they pay you out 2.5% a week, Ethereum and BTC. I've been in it for about 6 months and gotten paid out every single week. And then it's 3% a month for Ethereum. So guys, what I'm trying to say is there are so many different ways to make money with crypto, with Forex, with funding, with all these different opportunities. And just continue to see what's out there, continue to join groups, talk with people, network and stuff. And you guys can, unlock these good opportunities. At the same time, there are a lot of shitty opportunities out there as well. So definitely be careful. But yeah, I've had a good experience with this one. So that's pretty much it for my analysis for the week. This is the conclusion of the Sunday Market Blitz. We got a few things going on with Funded Trader this week. Few giveaways coming to an end tomorrow, promotion coming to an end. So head over to the Discord, look at that. Forex League, we're scheduling a webinar for November 15th for an update. So come on if you guys are available for that. And yeah, check out Discord, Telegram, all updates are in there. So that's pretty much it for me. Thanks guys for listening to Nick and myself, and good luck this week.
Good session, guys. Enjoy the week. Peace.
Back. Another blitz in the books.
That's it, guys. Love it.
Yeah, enjoy the week, everyone. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Peace, guys.